Tonight, the day Canberrans have dreaded, the ACT goes into a 7-day lockdown after 4 people test positive to COVID-19.
This is the most serious public health risk that we have faced in the Territory this year, and really since the beginning of the pandemic.
Long lines at testing centres and supermarkets as Canberrans get ready to stay at home. Also tonight, more areas of New South Wales in lockdown as the state's outbreak continues to spread. And thousands flee their homes in Greece as Europe's worst heatwave in decades fans ferocious wildfires. Yuma, good evening. Dan Borscher with ABC News. The ACT has been plunged into lockdown with 4 positive COVID-19 cases, leaving authorities scrambling to track down close contacts and keep the virus from spreading. Wide-ranging restrictions are now in effect for the next 7 days, with people urged not to leave their homes except for essential reasons. I'm joined now by ACT political reporter Harry Frost. Harry, was a COVID-19 case in the capital inevitable?
Well, Dan, with the situation in Sydney and now in wider New South Wales over the past month or so, many were saying that it's only a matter of time before the capital gets a case of COVID-19. And for weeks now, authorities have been saying if that does happen, they'll lock down hard and fast. And today, the ACT's Chief Minister made good on that promise. Facing the media to make an announcement Canberrans have been dreading.
This is the most serious public health risk that we have faced in the Territory this year, and really since the beginning of the pandemic.
A positive case prompting Andrew Barr to declare a snap 7-day lockdown.
This is the best path to pursue, to protect the health of the community and to avoid even more damaging and prolonged lockdowns and more significant economic consequences.
The first case, a man in his 20s from Gungahlin, who is believed to have been infectious in the community since Sunday. Fragments of the virus have also been detected in wastewater in northern and central Canberra and the Woden Valley. A long list of exposure sites has been identified, including a nightclub in Civic, a church in Woden, multiple retail stores in the Canberra Outlet Centre and a department store, as well as the Coles supermarket in Manuka. More than a dozen locations in total, with the possibility of more to come.
If you have been at any of these venues during the times listed, you must quarantine for 14 days. That is full quarantine, and you must get tested.
Then this evening, an additional 3 cases were confirmed, all close contacts of the first. Multiple other close contacts have already been identified, but authorities want to do all they can to stop the spread of the virus. So, for the next 7 days, Canberrans are urged to remain at home except for essential purposes, including essential work, healthcare and essential groceries and supplies. Retail stores will be closed and it will be takeaway only at hospitality venues. Canberrans will be able to exercise outside for 1 hour per day and mask wearing will be mandatory.
There is no need for panic buying, and our key message to people is please be patient, be kind with one another and be thoughtful about the way that you respond to what will no doubt be a very difficult situation for many people in our community.
It's a plea that has fallen on deaf ears for some. Supermarkets across the capital were inundated by panicking shoppers, prompting some outlets to impose 2-pack per person limits on toilet paper.
What's it like inside, is it?
It's crazy. Meat and that's probably going to go. The eggs are in high demand.
I just bought enough to get us over a few days lockdown, help us out there, but it's incredible inside. You would not believe the chaos.
Up to the fluoro guy.
Hopes that chaos is followed by calm and Canberrans follow the rules to stop the spread. Dan, it wasn't just groceries that had Canberrans in a flurry. Many hit the roads to the south coast trying to flee the ACT before the lockdown came into effect. There was high demand at testing centres too, and while authorities said that they were ready, perhaps they weren't prepared enough.
Lines for testing aren't new, but having to close a road to cope with demand certainly is. This was Flemington Road this afternoon. Authorities say the strong turnout is a good thing, provided those waiting for a test have symptoms or have visited an exposure site.
But please do not turn up to get tested because you're anxious. If you have no symptoms and you haven't been asked to be tested by ACT Health and you haven't been in any of those identified exposure locations, staying at home is the best thing that you can do.
A new testing clinic will open at the Brindabella Business Centre and capacity will be significantly boosted at existing sites.
We can run Exhibition Park 24 hours a day if that is necessary.
The Chief Minister had a stern warning for Canberrans trying to beat the 5 o'clock deadline.
Fleeing to the coast is a really bad thing to do, really, really antisocial. And if you're turning up on the New South Wales South Coast with ACT number plates at the moment, if you're seen to be driving down there, I don't think those local communities will particularly welcome you.
The looming lockdown also prompted federal politicians to clear out.
Obviously, those who can get planes home and be with their families are taking the opportunity, and that's what I'm about to do. Thank you.
For the rest of us, we're to stay put. And even when leaving the house for an essential reason, venturing too far is not on.
Our general guidance is to stay within your local area. So if you live in Belconnen, exercise in Belconnen, get your groceries, your essential supplies in Belconnen. Do not be travelling across the ACT for exercise or essential supplies.
Some freedom to travel has been granted to border communities. Residents from 10 postcodes have been given the green light to enter the ACT.
But only for the essential reasons. Only if you're an essential worker or you need to come to the ACT to do your grocery shopping or you need to come to the ACT, for example, to access medical services.
The border bubble goes as far north as Gunning and as far south as Bredbow. Residents in Bungendore to the east and as far as Yass and Bynalong are also included. But Goulburn and Braidwood are not. Buses and the light rail will operate as normal, as will taxis and rideshares. Just don't forget a mask and remember to keep your distance. The lockdown means school pickup won't be this busy for at least a week as students switch to home learning.
If you are an essential worker, if you are experiencing vulnerability, or if for some other reason you just can't keep your children at home, then your children can still attend their local public school.
But there won't be lessons. Students will simply be supervised as they complete online learning modules.
Public school teachers will spend this period of time moving and planning for and transitioning to remote education, should that be required after this initial lockdown period. This means that normal schooling won't happen during this week.
Anyone on school grounds over the age of 12 must wear a mask. The same rules apply for childcare, but if you can keep your child at home, you should. It's a similar story at Canberra's universities, where staff and students have been told to work and study remotely. As for sport, all bets are off. No games, no training, just the hour of daily exercise. All locked down Canberrans are now allowed. For those living alone, lockdown will be especially tough. Thankfully, though, the government has agreed to a singles bubble, so people who live on their own can pick one other household to visit and have visitors from. Rosie King, ABC News, Canberra.
So, Harry, what has the federal government had to say about support for Canberrans in lockdown?
Yes, Dan, there's some good news for Canberrans who were perhaps worrying about their income. The federal government has opened COVID-19 disaster support payments for Canberrans who've been impacted by the lockdown. They'll be available with payments of up to $750 per week, depending on how many hours of work have been lost. The applications for that will open on the 20th of August and be backdated to the start of the lockdown. Meantime, Canberrans are being urged to get vaccinated if they are eligible and to comply with all health directions.
Harry Frost reporting from Civic.